In a vision in chapter 8, an angel transports Ezekiel to Jerusalem and into the temple courts. And there he sees and gives a very vivid description of the shocking abominations. These are represented as justifying or explaining the destruction of the city. And these descriptions are characterized by more than the usual amount of prophetic hyperbole. As he watches the slaughter and the destruction that's going on there, Ezekiel sees the kavod, that is the presence of Yahweh, arise from the temple and move to the east. Chapter 10 then, verses 18 and 19. The presence of the Lord left the platform of the house and stopped above the cherubs, and I saw the cherubs lift their wings and rise from the earth, with the wheels beside them as they departed. And they stopped at the entrance of the eastern gate of the house of the Lord, with the presence of the God of Israel above them. And in chapter 11, verses 23 to 25, then the presence of the Lord ascended from the midst of the city and stood on the hill east of the city. A spirit carried me away and brought me in a vision by the Spirit of God to the exile community in Chaldea. So now he's back to Babylon. And then the vision that I had seen left me, and I told the exiles all the things that the Lord had shown me. So this image draws on ancient Near Eastern traditions of gods abandoning their cities in anger, leaving them to destruction by another god. The primary difference here is that God, rather than another god, is himself also bringing the destruction. Moreover, God doesn't retire to the heavens. He doesn't abandon his people. He doesn't remain behind with those left in Judah, but he moves into exile. In the book of Ezekiel, those left behind are guilty. God does not stay with them. God moves east with the righteous exiles. Then at the end of the book of Ezekiel, we're going to see a vision of a restored temple. This happens in Ezekiel 43. And here Ezekiel will see the kavod returning from the east and back to the temple. And there, coming from the east with a roar like the roar of mighty waters, was the presence of the God of Israel. And the earth was lit up by his presence. The presence of the Lord entered the temple by the gate that faced eastward. And lo, the presence of the Lord filled the temple. It was 43 verses 1 through 6. So just as the presence, the divine presence, went eastward with the exiles, so it will return with the reestablishment of Israel in her home. What is significant here is the idea that God is not linked to a particular place, but to a particular people. And the implication then is that God is with his people, even when they are in exile. So Ezekiel preached a message of doom and judgment, like his prophetic predecessors and his contemporaries, but his condemnations tend to emphasize the people's idolatry and their moral impurity, and this, of course, makes sense of his priestly heritage. His denunciations of Jerusalem are among the most lurid and violent that you'll find in the Bible. Again, these prophecies were likely delivered between the two deportations, between 597 and then the final destruction and deportation in 587, 586. And Ezekiel warns that Jerusalem will fall, deservedly. He says that rebellion against Babylon would be treason against God. He employs all kinds of very vivid metaphors to describe Israel's situation. Jerusalem, he says, is Sodom's sister, except even more vile. Jerusalem is a vine, but a wild one, or a burned one. She produces nothing of use. Purity language is employed metaphorically throughout Ezekiel. Jerusalem has been utterly defiled, and there are all sorts of images that inspire revulsion in these chapters.